I don't usually get caught up in fight hype. Most of it feels overproduced or too flashy for my taste. But when I heard that Jet Li and Mark Dacascos were finally stepping into the ring together, I actually paused. This wasn't just another exhibition. This felt personal, like something that had been building for years. Both of these guys shaped how I see martial arts. Jet Li, with his explosive speed and Wushu background, always seemed untouchable, like he moved differently than anyone else. Mark Dacascos, on the other hand, had this calm, precise energy, a mix of traditional karate and sharp cinematic presence that made you take him seriously. It's rare to see two legends from such different backgrounds actually. Li entered the arena like a predator stalking prey. His reputation preceded him. This was a man who could throw 6 punches in the time most fighters threw 2. Standing 5'6" with the lean, muscular build of a classical martial artist, Li represented speed incarnate. His strengths were absolutely terrifying to opponents. Li's hand speed was legendary. Witnesses described his combinations as invisible until they landed. His footwork was poetry in motion, allowing him to slip in and out of range like a phantom. The man had reflexes that seemed almost supernatural, honed through years of Wushu competition where split-second timing meant everything. Li's acrobatic ability set him apart from every other fighter. His jumping kicks could come from angles that defied physics, and his ability to change directions mid-air made him nearly impossible to track. The man had reflexes that seemed almost supernatural, honed through years of Wushu competition where split-second timing meant everything. Li's acrobatic ability set him apart from every other fighter. His jumping kicks could come from angles that defied physics, and his ability to change directions mid-air made him nearly impossible to track. Years of traditional Chinese martial arts training had given him an arsenal of techniques that most fighters had never even seen, let alone defended against. But here's where it gets interesting. Li's greatest strength was also his potential weakness. His style relied heavily on distance management and precise timing. He was a surgical striker, preferring to pick apart opponents with calculated attacks rather than engage in prolonged exchanges. This approach had served him well in tournaments and films, but against a pressure fighter it could become problematic. Li's Wushu background meant he was used to fighting under specific rules, point sparring, where the first clean technique scored. Real combat, even in a controlled environment, demanded different skills. His conditioning, while excellent for short bursts, hadn't been tested in grinding, extended battles.
When Dacascos stepped into the arena, you could feel the atmosphere shift. This wasn't just another fighter. This was a man who'd built his reputation on being absolutely unstoppable once he got started. His 5'9" frame carried the kind of functional muscle that came from years of serious training, not just show. Dacascos brought something Li had rarely faced: relentless pressure combined with devastating power. His karate and kickboxing background gave him incredible striking ability. Those hands were like sledgehammers wrapped in human skin. His tournament record spoke volumes. Multiple world championships across different organizations, with a fighting style that simply overwhelmed opponents through sheer determination. The man's conditioning was legendary. Stories circulated about his training regimen: hours of kicks, thousands of repetitions, the kind of dedication that bordered on obsession. Dacascos could maintain high-intensity output for extended periods, something that gave him a massive advantage in longer fights. His mental game was equally impressive. Dacascos had that rare ability to absorb punishment and keep coming forward. He'd been hurt in fights before, but never stopped pressing the action. This psychological warfare often broke opponents before the physical battle did. But Dacascos had his vulnerabilities too. His aggressive style sometimes left him open to counterattacks. Against faster opponents, his forward pressure approach could become predictable. His kicks, while powerful, required commitment, and commitment creates windows of opportunity for the right opponent. When the bell rang, Lee immediately established his rhythm. His jab flicked out like a snake's tongue, testing distance and timing. Dacascos, true to form, began his methodical advance, cutting off angles and reducing Lee's maneuvering space. The first significant exchange came 90 seconds in. Lee landed a picture-perfect spinning back fist that snapped Dacascos' head back, drawing blood from his nose. The crowd erupted. This was the Lee they'd come to see. But Dacascos' response was immediate and brutal. A low kick that buckled Lee's leg, followed by a right cross that grazed Lee's temple as he pulled back. This pattern continued through the early rounds. Lee would score with his lightning-fast combinations, but Dacascos kept coming forward, absorbing punishment and dishing out his own brand of systematic destruction. By the fourth round, something shifted. Lee's movement, while still impressive, had lost that effortless quality. Those early leg kicks from Dacascos were accumulating damage, making Lee's footwork less crisp. Meanwhile, Dacascos looked like he was just getting warmed up. The decisive moment came in round 5. Lee threw one of his signature combination attacks, a jumping kick followed by a spinning heel kick sequence that had dropped numerous opponents. But this time, Dacascos was ready. He absorbed the first kick on his shoulder, ducked the spinning attack, and stepped inside. Suddenly, Lee found himself in Dacascos' world, close range, where power trumped speed. Dacascos unleashed a devastating body shot that doubled Lee over, followed by a knee strike that sent Lee stumbling backward. For the first time in the fight, Lee looked genuinely hurt. What happened next revealed the true character of both fighters. Lee, despite being hurt, showed incredible heart. He used his superior mobility to create distance, buying time to recover. His corner worked frantically between rounds, trying to restore his legs and prepare him for what everyone knew was coming. Dacascos, sensing victory, turned up the pressure. His combinations became more frequent and more powerful. He was systematically breaking down Lee's defenses, round by round, technique by technique. The 8th round was pure warfare. Lee, knowing he was behind on points, threw caution to the wind. His combinations came in rapid-fire succession, each one a potential fight-ender. But Dacascos weathered the storm like a mountain enduring a hurricane. He absorbed what he couldn't avoid, redirected what he could, and kept pressing forward. When the final bell rang, both fighters embraced with genuine respect. They'd pushed each other to limits neither had experienced before. Lee had shown that his speed and technique were every bit as dangerous as advertised. Dacascos had proven that his reputation for relentless pressure and conditioning was well-deserved. But in the end, Mark Dacascos won by unanimous decision. The judges scored the fight based on effective aggression, ring control, and cumulative damage, all areas where Dacascos had gradually built advantages throughout the contest. Dacascos won because he imposed his will on the fight. While Lee had moments of brilliance, Dacascos controlled the overall pace and direction of the battle. His pressure forced Lee to fight Dacascos' fight rather than his own. The leg kicks that seemed minor in early rounds became fight-changing factors as the contest progressed. Most importantly, Dacascos' conditioning allowed him to maintain his intensity while Lee's speed and movement deteriorated. In martial arts, as in life, sometimes the tortoise really does beat the hare, not through any single moment of brilliance, but through relentless, methodical excellence. This fight became legendary not because it was one-sided, but because it showcased two different paths to martial arts mastery. Lee proved that speed and technique could trouble even the most determined opponent. Dacascos proved that pressure, conditioning, and an unbreakable will could overcome superior speed and skill. Both men left the arena as legends, but only one left as victor.